have a cave troll.
I think I'm getting the hang of this.
Hey folks, welcome to BenOrBreak. I'm your host Ben, and today you once again join me in playing The Lord of the Rings the card game, which is a living card game by Fantasy Flight Games. This is episode 2 of the Random Deck Series. As we saw in episode 1, this means we play a random deck versus a random quest. So we're here on RingsDB to find out what deck we are playing. To do that, as we saw last time, we go to the most recently published deck, look up in the URL, grab its unique deck ID, go to our random number generator, and somewhere from 1 to that is our number. We got 1,768. That's a pretty low number, given that the most recent one is in the 20,000s. Yep, published 6 years ago. Boromir Stroke Out to a Song. Okay, so Boromir focused deck. 4-player deck. Oh no. Okay, supported by Lord Aragorn, Desperate Alliance, and by Song of Elendil. Cycle Hammerstroke with Hama. So it's relying... Firstly, it's designed for 4-player, so it's not going to be able to quest much at all. Mostly from early sets. We don't have a lot of variety. Looks like Heirs of Numenor and Against the Shadow, sort of the newest cycle. We have some Saga cycles here. I see Overhill and Underhill and the Black Riders. Since this is a 4-player deck meant to be supported by other decks, we don't have like any allies. It's just designed. Boromir fights everything. We keep raising his threat to do so. You can raise your threat by 1 to ready him once a phase. I'm seeing that there's a Song of Wisdom. It looks like just for Darren's Runes. I know Darren's Runes is a good card and very highly regarded by the community, but I don't know if it's worth including Songs of Wisdom just to have access to Darren's Runes. But that is what this deck is doing. So we're going to try to do this without any threat reduction besides Gandalf. We're going to randomize for our quest. We get Desert Crossing. We did that one episode 1. Sorry, spoilers. So this time we are doing Caves of Nibin-Dûm. That's kind of fortuitous. That's coming out in the new Dark of Mirkwood expansion. It was previously published in the 2-player starter set. So RingsDB automatically loaded our deck. The hero of this deck is Boromir. Raise your threat by 1 to ready Boromir, limit once per phase. You can also discard him to deal 2 damage to each enemy engaged with a single player. I don't know if anyone really ever does that. Flavor text. In Gondor we must trust to such weapons as we have, from the Fellowship of the Ring. And what weapons we have is, I assume, tactics weapons. Next hero, Hama. After he's declared as an attacker, you can take a tactics event back from your discard pile to your hand, and then discard a card from your hand. Yet in doubt, a man of worth will trust to his own wisdom the 2 towers. Sam is going to be our main quester with that 3 willpower. We can also ready him and boost his stats for the round after we engage an enemy with a higher engagement cost than our threat. We'll be needing to raise our threat to ready Boromir to fight. Those 2 heroes kind of work at odds. We're not going to have the threat reduction that this deck is designed to go with. So getting to our quest, we do need to decide if we want a mulligan first. And pretty sure we do. The only useful card here is Fate. so we took the mulligan and it looks better. Not great, but better. So as I'm getting the quest set up, as an aside, I am recording the audio and video for this episode separately. For episode 1, I just tried doing them at the same time, but the result was I couldn't give 100% my attention to either playing or narrating, so that ended up with a lot of dead time that I had to cut out in post-production. So I'm trying to do them separately this time. It's a little bit more time recording, but hopefully a lot less time editing. Hopefully not too noticeable either way. Our quest card says, The Dark of Nibin-Dûm. You have pursued the goblins that attacked a woodman village to the mountains of Mirkwood. The trail leads over a steep ridge where you discover the forgotten dwarf home of Nibin-Dûm. You light a torch and enter in. Search the encounter deck for Goblin Chieftain, Cracked Pillar, and Cave Torch. Set the Chieftain and Pillar aside out of play, and attach Cave Torch to one of our heroes. Exhaust Cave Torch to place up to 3 progress tokens on a dark location. That's a location with the dark trait. But after we exhaust it, we discard the top card of the encounter deck. If it's an enemy, add that enemy to staging. So there's a reward, it helps us clear locations, but there's also risk in that it might reveal enemies, which I think is very thematic. The light helps you navigate underground, but it also lets enemies know you're here. So we flip our quest card. The dwarves abandoned Nibin-Dûm after an earthquake collapsed part of the mine, but it seems these goblins have since adopted it as their home. The flickering light of your torch reveals a network of dark passages, and you set about searching for signs of the enemy. When revealed, now we see why all those locations were in the staging area for setup. Each player chooses one, so that means we just choose one. I'm deciding between collapsed mine and goblin tunnels, and I choose goblin tunnels. Okay, we move to the first round. We draw Gondorian Discipline. Response, cancel up to 2 points of damage just dealt to a Gondor character. We'll be using that with Boromir. We also attach Gondorian Fire to him. We have a Dunedain Signal, which is useless in single player. It grants Sentinel. Sentinel allows you to defend for other players. So I'm quite sure this playthrough we're going to run up into problems where this is sort of a single-purpose deck designed for a multiplayer environment. I decide why not play Song of Wisdom so we have lore access. Play Darren's Runes. We draw 2 cards, and then discard 1 from our hand. I choose Dunedain Signal because it's literally worthless for us. Campfire Tales is also kind of garbage. You can pay a resource just to replace it. Great, it's another Dunedain Signal. So for our final resource, we're going to attach Blade of Gondolin to Boromir. Give him a sword. So now that planning is done, we just move on to the quest phase. I'm deciding who I'm going to quest. Looking at how discouraging little willpower our allies have. Just Gandalf, really. But he only sticks around for 1 round. So I end up questing everybody just because it's going to be so hard to make progress. And, of course, we reveal Goblin Troop. Look at that monster. 3 threat, 5 attack, 3 defense, 6 hit points. While it's engaged with you, it also boosts other goblin enemy stats. So we make 0 progress. If we had any progress on the quest card, we would have removed 1 from Goblin Tunnel's effect. Thankfully, Goblin Troop will not be engaging us. Its engagement cost is higher than our threat for now, so we move to the next round and draw a Gandalf, which is excellent. He's just expensive. It'll be hard to get him out. So, it looks like I'm going to decide to put in an Errand Rider. I'm going to use the Errand Rider to start moving resources over to Boromir for the sake of Gondorian Fire. We can spend 1 resource from the attached hero's resource pool to give attached hero +1 attack for each resource in its resource pool until the end of the phase. So once you got more than a couple resources on a hero, this can become quite powerful, but it also requires you not to be spending your resources, which is generally good gameplay. You often spend all your resources if you can. Oh, this is me noticing that I accidentally somehow added 2 resources to Boromir when I should have only added 1. So I caught that. Boromir has 2. We're all set. I'm once again questing everybody. We're not going to engage the Goblin Troop, I don't think. We're not ready for them yet. That 5 attack is scary. We revealed branching paths. Each dark location in the staging area gets +1 threat, which includes itself. I'm contemplating using Cave Torch on it. Cave Torch will place 3 progress, and it requires 3 progress to clear that location. The downside is we might reveal an enemy. Branching Paths has an additional forced effect where we look at, after it is explored, look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck, choose one of those cards to reveal. So if we clear Branching Paths, which we are deciding to do, we could end up with 2 cards added to staging. First one, that was the discard for Cave Torch. We add a Goblin Sniper to staging. This is shaping up to be disaster. Goblin Sniper, we cannot optionally engage it if there's other enemies in the staging area. Of course there are. It'll be Goblin Troop, who we don't want to engage. Since Goblin Sniper is sitting in staging, he'll be dealing us 1 point of damage every round. I'm 99% sure we do not have any healing in this deck. Now we're resolving the actual effect on Branching Paths, and we get to choose from Goblin Dungeon or another Branching Paths. Figures. It would have been nice to have like a Treachery that would whiff or something. We're putting those on the bottom of the deck as Branching Paths specified and keeping the remaining Branching Paths. We're not questing enough, despite questing everybody. We take 1 threat and make no progress. So we can't travel. We don't want to engage Goblin Troop because we're just not ready for it. I just need to take the damage from Goblin Sniper and move on to the next round. Hope we can do something with Gandalf. Never mind. We are deciding to engage Goblin Troop. Raise our threat by 1 to ready Boromir in the encounter phase. Sam also readies because Goblin Troop's engagement cost is higher than our threat, and he gets +1 to all his stats for this round. Deal us a Shadow card at the beginning of the combat phase, defending with Boromir. 5 attack versus 2 defense. No shadow effect. Use Gondorian Discipline. Currently, Boromir will be taking 3 damage. I canceled 2 of it, so he only takes 1. Raise our threat again to ready Boromir again. Declare him as an attacker. He's getting boosted by 1 because he's attacking an orc. I could spend a resource with Gondorian Fire to boost by 1 more, but I just decided to attack with Sam. 6 attack versus 3 defense, we will deal 3 damage. We're going to have to also take our damage from Goblin Sniper. I put it on Hama, who is pretty much the most useless hero in our lineup by far. We draw a Do Not Land Cache. And give a hero the ranged keyword. Again, pretty useless outside of multiplayer. So, given that we have 5 resources, I decide to put Gandalf into play. Either when he enters play, I can either draw 3 cards, deal 4 damage to an enemy, or reduce my threat by 5. I decide to deal 4 damage to the enemy. That gets rid of Goblin Troop, and then we can quest everyone. We reveal Goblin Town Scavengers. When revealed, discard the top card of each player's deck. Until the end of the phase, increase Goblin Town Scavengers' threat by the total printed cost of all cards discarded in this way. Just 1. If you're playing 4-player, though, Goblin Town Scavengers can get threat into double digits. Just because everybody's discarding a card. Thankfully, we do actually make progress. Because of Gandalf, 4 progress. We once again cannot optionally engage the Sniper because there's another enemy in staging. It's the Scavengers, so we engage the Scavengers. Sam is not going to ready. because the scavengers only have an engagement cost of 12. Our threat is already at 34. Decide to defend with Errand Rider. Errand Rider will survive. The scavengers only have 1 attack. Looks like I may forget to assign the damage. I don't think that ends up mattering. Boromir does kill the scavengers. Blade of Gondolin's response triggers. We place a progress on the main quest. It goes on the active location first if there is one. Then we have to take another damage from Goblin Sniper. I put it on Gandalf because he leaves play at the end of the round. There he goes. Off on Wizard's business. For next round, we draw Foehammer. After a hero you control attacks and destroys an enemy, exhaust a weapon card attached to that hero to draw 3 cards. Thankfully, we do have a weapon card. I'm contemplating using Hammerstroke to pull Goblin Sniper out of staging. We decide to just go on and quest. Our threat's getting high enough. I'm contemplating questing Boromir. Sucks, but I decide to, just because we're not going to make progress otherwise. When revealed, player who controls Cave Torch must either exhaust it, or progress cannot be placed on the quest until the end of the phase. We may still place progress on the active location. I obviously choose not to place progress on the main quest because we are only placing 2 progress. That'll clear the active location, but we wouldn't have enough to put on the main quest anyway. Thankfully, our staging area is looking a little clearer. Travel to branching paths. Finally get to optionally engage Goblin Sniper. We raise our threat by 1 to ready Boromir. Deal our shadow card. Shadow. Attacking enemy makes an additional attack immediately after this one. Deal a new shadow card for that attack. That is a nasty shadow effect. Oh, here comes the second attack. Again, Goblin Sniper has 2 attack. Boromir has 2 defense, so he took no damage. I think this is me remembering that Goblin Sniper has a very high engagement cost, so Sam's response could trigger, and he would ready. We engage an enemy with a higher engagement cost than our threat, so Sam defends the second attack. Deal 1 damage to the defending character. Well, now all our heroes are damaged. Done. Raise our threat by 1 more to ready Boromir. Have him whack the Goblin Sniper. Blade of Gondolin, which places 1 progress on branching paths. Finally, I move a resource from Hama to Boromir to set up Gondorian Fire. This is me remembering to use Foehammer. Exhaust the weapon card after I kill an enemy to draw 3 cards, and looks like we finally got some good draws. Through Daemon's Runes, which hopefully draws more cards. Another Foehammer and another Quick Strike. Excellent. We get rid of Dunedain Cache. Don't need that. We're playing single player. First thing is Gondorian Shield. It's a restricted attachment. Attached to a hero, boost hero's defense by 1 or 2 if the hero is Gondorian. And Boromir is. Boromir is a beast. He has 4 defense now. 2 plus 2. We reveal Cavern Warg. When Cavern Warg attacks you, exhaust Cave Torch to cancel the attack and return it to staging. Well, we make 3 progress, which means we finally get 1 on the main quest. Let's see if I remember to do the response on branching paths. It looks like I may have forgotten that. Spoiler alert, it probably doesn't matter. Declare Boromir as defender. If this attack is undefended, blah blah blah, it is not. Raise our threat by 1 to ready Boromir. Have him attack back. He's currently attacking for 3. Blade of Gondolin only boosts attack versus orcs. So I do spend a resource for Gondorian Fire. Raise Boromir's attack by 1 for each resource in Boromir's resource pool, which is 2. That is enough. Finally, Foehammer, play it. Exhaust a weapon card after you kill an enemy to draw 3 more cards. Campfire Tales, Gandalf, and Dunedain Warning. Very happy to see another Gandalf and Dunedain Warning. Campfire Tales is pretty worthless. Play another final Darren's Runes. Ditch a Dunedain Signal. We have a Sneak Attack Gandalf combo. Sneak Attack is great with Gandalf because it puts an ally into play for a phase, and Gandalf has some great effects from entering play. I decide to attach a Dunedain warning to Boromir, get his defense up to 5. I have the resources for Dagger of Westerness. I put it on Sam. I need to remember next time to use a quick strike. Quest everybody. Lapsed Mine. We make 4 progress. Only 3 more and we advance to the next stage. We of course travel. I decide to move a resource from Boromir to Sam because we have some leadership cards, and we just drew another. Play Campfire Tales, just to redraw a card, hope to get something better. I do. Dunedain Mark. Attached to a hero. Attached hero gets +1 attack. So, this is what this deck is designed to do, just stack Boromir with stat boosts. For another one. Quest everybody. This is me realizing that I left Sam's stat boost on. That should have been only for 1 round. I estimate that it was on for 3 extra rounds since we're on round 7. So I removed 3 progress from the main quest. Because of that, I decided to play Sneak Attack, put 1 ally card into play from your hand. At the end of the phase, if that ally is still in play, return it to your hand. So we played Gandalf, well, Sneak Attacked Gandalf. I choose the lower threat because we're already getting above 40. If our threat reaches 50, we are eliminated from the game. Quest Gandalf also. Thankfully, we're making 9 progress. Okay, Goblin Tunnels, 2 threat in staging. We will make 7 progress. Oh, this is me contemplating using Cave Torch's effect. If we place 3 progress on Collapsed Mine before we resolve questing, we would have been able to advance the quest stage, I think. I decide not to. I think there I probably really should have, but hindsight is 20/20. What am I saying? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have. We'll see. You tell me in the comments, should I have used the Cave Torch there or not? Like Campfire Tales to hope to draw something better. I do not. It's another Dunedain cache. I'm going to straight out buy another Gandalf and reduce our threat again. Hope to push through on questing. They have a Cave Troll. Cannot have attachments. For each excess point of damage dealt by Great Cave Troll, beyond the remaining hit points of the character damaged by its attack, remove 1 progress from the current quest. And that Cave Troll has 6 attack and 3 threat. Says we're only questing for 5, but we should be questing for 9 because of Gandalf. It does not seem to be counting our progress properly, so I manually increase it to 9. We're making 6 progress. Once again, I'm faced with a dilemma. I can exhaust Cave Torch and we get through the quest. This time I decide to discard the top card for its effect. It is not an enemy, so we don't have to do anything about it. Now we're going to resolve questing and place the remainder of our progress. So I move on to the next round. I decide not to engage the troll, just because we wouldn't be able to kill it. Our card draw for this round is a Song of Wisdom. Our encounter card is a Lightless Passage worth 4 threat. Travel, players must exhaust a Cave Torch to travel there. So we make -2 progress, which means +2 to our threat. We exhaust a Cave Torch to travel to Lightless Passage. Discard the top card in the encounter deck. It is an enemy, a Cavern Warg. Add to staging. That is not nice to see. It has 33 engagement cost, so it will be engaging us. Raise our threat by 1 to ready Boromir. Helmet phase, deal a shadow card, Boromir Defender, and again we get attacking enemy makes an additional attack after this one. That means we won't be able to kill the Warg this round unless I chump block with Errand Rider. We can only ready Boromir once per phase using his effect. So I decide to chump block with Ehrenreiter. Ehrenreiter dies. I raise my threat by 1 to ready Boromir, declare him as an attacker versus Cavenwarg, and now we finally have enough attack with all those Dunedain marks. On to the next round. We draw another Dunedain warning. Play that on Boromir, of course. Now up to 6 defense total. It's great that Cave Troll has 6 attack. Quest everybody. We kind of need to. Else we just don't make progress. Right now we're only making 2. Each player must search the encounter deck and discard pile for a goblin enemy and put it into play engaged with us. This effect cannot be cancelled. Not like we have any means to cancel cards anyway. In the encounter deck, our only choice would be a goblin sniper. In the discard pile, another goblin sniper, and then we might also choose Goblin Town Scavengers or Goblin Runner. I choose a goblin sniper. You're not very threatening outside of the staging area. That ready Sam Gamgee. It was put into play engaged with us, which does count as engaging us. I had to look that up at one point. It's a little unintuitive. Once again, if we exhaust Cave Torch, we can advance the next quest stage. I decide to discard a Treachery, finally resolve questing. We're on to stage 2, surprise attack. As you search about the Caves of Nibin-Dûm, you're ambushed by goblins. Add Goblin Chieftain to the staging area. His stats are X. X is the stage number of the quest, currently 2. Cannot take damage, cannot have attachments. And after he attacks, either remove X progress from the main quest, or return to the staging area. Now, each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a goblin enemy. Have to do this again. Choose Goblin Scavengers, because they have 1 attack. Add it to the staging area. The goblins are led by a large chieftain who whips them into a frenzy. His soldiers attack you with reckless savagery and you struggle to gain the upper hand. During the encounter phase, treat each enemy's engagement cost as if it were 0. The stage gets +4 quest points for each enemy in play. There's currently 4 enemies, 16 quest points. All the enemies are going to engage us. This is me realizing that we are probably toast. 4 enemies engaging us is simply a lot. Even with Sam already readied. Sure, we can try to do something with quick strikes. Often I would probably call it here. There's not really much hope just because we cannot scale our willpower up at all. Paying for quick strikes with Hama. I actually quick strike that goblin in the travel phase. This way we go into the encounter phase with 1 less enemy in front of us. We play the other quick strike. Quick strike the Scavengers because I can't one-shot anything else. They want 1 threat to ready Boromir again. Shadow, cancel all combat damage dealt to the enemy. So we can't kill Goblin Chieftain. He can't take damage anyway, so that shadow effect does nothing. So we decide to return him to staging because we don't have any progress to remove from the main quest. And we use Boromir to defend against the Great Cave Troll. Raise your threat by 1 for each damage dealt by this attack. Since we are at 6 defense, we take no damage. So that shadow card also does not hurt us. We can still raise our threat by 1 to ready in the combat phase. So I do. Declare Boromir as attacker. He has 5 attack. I spend a resource for Gondorian Fire to boost us to 7. Unfortunately, the troll has 4 defense, so I deal 3 damage only. We move to the next round and draw a useless Hammer Stroke. Useless for most circumstances in single player, that is. In 4 player, can be a pretty powerful card. Decide to quest Sam. I contemplate pulling the Goblin Chieftain out of staging area with Hammer Stroke, so it's not totally useless, because right now we're making -1 progress. This time I remember to remove Sam's stat boost. -2 progress. I decide to save the resources and just take the 2 threat. At 45 threat and with only 1 more Gandalf in the deck, unlikely that we will win. We travel to top Goblin Tunnels. We have to reveal the top card in the counter deck to do that. Crumbling Ruin. Exhaust a character, discard the top card of your deck. If the cost of the discarded card is higher or equal to remaining hit points of the character, discard the character. Boromir had 4 hit points remaining. The cost of the card was 1. That is fine. We raise our threat by 1 to ready Boromir again. 46 threat. This is me noticing the threat and deciding to instead pull Hammer Stroke out of staging, or at least not raising our threat from that. From failing questing. Resolve the same card. Do the same thing. Maybe I shouldn't have retconned that, but spoiler alert, it ends up not mattering. As you can see, we're in a pretty dire situation. Here on round 11, and we're still only on quest card 2. Sam's not ready. We have no more quick strikes left. Decide to defend the chieftain with Hama. 2 attack versus 1 defense, 1 damage. Defend the troll with Boromir. No effect. Raise our threat by 1 to ready Boromir. This is me looking at our threat, looking at our quest cards, looking at Boromir's attack. We don't have enough to kill the cave troll, even with Gondorian Fire. We are 1 off, actually. I think one off with Gondorian Fire. Because we'd have to spend a resource, and then Boromir would only have 1 resource remaining. That's +1 attack. I mean, Goblin Chieftain's effect returns him to staging, of course. Since we can't kill Cave Troll, I decided not to ready Boromir. Again, because of concerns with our threat. We get a sneak attack, but no Gandalf. We already played our Gandalf. That sneak attack is pretty much worthless unless we draw into our final Gandalf. We're pretty well location locked. Not location locked, but we just can't get more willpower. So, as we knew for a while, this attempt is over. I'm going to take a break, mark that as a defeat, and we'll be back soon. Well, admittedly, that was a bit of a discouraging defeat. But that's part of the fun of this series. We have to take what we're given and make the best of it. So, as I fill out this quest log, I nearly considered scrapping the episode at this point. But I think there's something valuable we can do here. And I had given some thought to what happens when we lose. Not if we lose, but when we lose. Sometimes we'll be given decks that are just not a good use case for single player versus a random quest. In this case, we got a deck that was designed for a 4-player environment. Even worse, it was designed to work with specific decks to shore up its 2 glaring weaknesses. That would be threat reduction, to counter Boromir's threat raising, and willpower, to counter the fact that Sam's the only competent quester. So, put that down in the quest log. That's the biggest challenge this episode. So what happens when we lose? I decided that we are going to be allowed to tweak the deck after a loss. Now, for some constraints, I want it to remain, in a meaningful sense, the same deck. So our rules are going to be we can add 1 card of each type, like hero, ally, attachment. We can add any number of copies up to the legal limit, so we could add Henemarth Riversong as our ally. We could add 3 copies of Henemarth Riversong, but we wouldn't be able to add any other allies. Then, to counter the fact that we're adding cards, the second rule is that we can tweak the values of existing cards in any degree. So we can take 1 copy cards up to 3, we can take 3 copy cards up to 0. going to make a copy of this deck. We're going to ditch that sideboard. We don't need any of that stuff. Some of you may be surprised that I'm throwing out Steward of Gondor, but I already have something better in mind for our attachment. What are the weaknesses of this deck? We fed it out, and we couldn't quest hard. Boromir keeps raising our threat, and he can't quest hard. He's still a very powerful hero, as we saw. The second weakness is the lack of questing. The inclusion of Hama is to cycle the Hammer Stroke event, engage everything, and destroy it with Boromir. But Hama's just not a good hero for our purposes, and Hammer Stroke is definitely not a good event for our purposes. We actually did use it last game, but that's one of the first things we would cut. So, given our weaknesses with Boromir and Hama, low willpower, high threat, what are we looking for? We're looking for a tactics hero to keep our resource balance the same and to keep it sort of the same deck. And that's right, folks. We're crutching it up. We're going for tactics Eowyn. Because of that sweet, sweet 4 willpower. Also, the setup effect, reduce your threat by 3. Tactics Eowyn is, of course, a brokenly good hero. Probably the best tactics hero. And we're going to take Eowyn as our single hero addition that we're allowed. And we will, of course, ditch Hama to fit her. Now for allies, we're going to be thinking, again, along the same lines. We need to think what our resource balance is and what are our weaknesses. We need willpower, we need threat reduction. Pippin is a tactics ally with 2 willpower. There's also some synergy with Sam's effect there. I don't know that we'll really be using it, but I slam in 3 copies just to make sure we're able to get that 2 willpower helping us quest. For attachments, I have something very specific in mind. As much as I would want to include Steward of Gondor for the resource acceleration, we don't really have the draw to keep up with it. Favor of the Valar is much more important. It is a neutral attachment. Attach to your threat dial. When you would be eliminated by reaching your threat elimination level, instead discard Favor of the Valar and reduce your threat to 5 less than your threat elimination level. You are not eliminated. Or if I'm pronouncing Valar, is it Valar or Valar? Where's the accent fall? Regardless, that is exactly what we need. We need threat reduction. There's not much threat reduction available in tactics and leadership. So if we had to take one card, it would be that. For an event, a bit less important exactly what we choose. We already have Feint, we already have Sneak Attack. I decide to go with Sterner Than Steel, which is response exhaust weapon or armor card attached to the defending character. Cancel a shadow effect just triggered during combat. We don't have any other shadow management. So that's a nice 0-cost card to hopefully keep in our pocket for those sorts of eventualities. Side quests, we could add Prepare for Battle. I decide to add 1 copy. Contracts we're mostly not eligible for without changing the deck significantly. Perilous Voyage, we need to add a ton of cards that we're not allowed to add. Bonds of Friendship would require us to rebalance our whole deck. Council of the Wise requires us to add a ton of 1-copy stuff. Fellowship, we need to add more allies than we have. 3 Hunters. Close, but we would still need to make sure we have a lot more events and attachments than we have, and it wouldn't even really be the same deck anymore. I decide not to go with 3 Hunters also because of the Sneak Attack Gandalf combo. That is a very good tool for this deck to get that threat reduction, to get that willpower. So I decide to stick with the spirit of the deck and not make it 3 Hunters. We also don't really have enough attachments to support it. We need to add a lot more restricted attachments. So we're at 60 cards. I ditch Hammerstroke. I ditch Campfire Tales. Super powerful card in 4-player. But we're not doing a 4-player. 4-player is what the deck was built for, but we are tweaking it for 1-player. This is me just saying, oh, I should keep these in the sideboard to keep track of what I actually ditched. And I was looking for Hammerstroke, but it is in fact the Hammerstroke. There we go, 54 cards. I'm looking at our current quantities. I decide to experiment with bumping some of our other cards. Get out a quick Build a Pony. Obviously get rid of Dunedain Cash. Bump Dunedain Mark. Ditch Dunedain Signal, again a multiplayer card. The Darren's Runes Song of Wisdom combo is just not worth it. Song of Wisdom, after you've drawn your first one, they just end up being more dead cards. We're going to rely on Foehammer as our card draw, and ditch Darren's Runes. 3 copies Foehammer. Gondorian Discipline's great. Quick Strike is great. We had the opportunity to use those. We're at 49 cards. We already added all the cards we could, so it's just changing quantities, and I decide to take Errand Rider up to 3 copies. It can be a chump blocker if nothing else. I could rebalance Dagger of Westerness versus Gondorian Fire. Do 3 copies of one and 1 copy of the other. But I decided to just go 2 and 2. Keep the deck how it was. It doesn't make a big difference either way. Alright, so with a leaner, meaner deck, we took out 12 cards, added a total of 10, well, 11 counting Eowyn. Got Hamai in the sideboard to say we used to have him, and now we are in a much better state. We addressed our concerns. Willpower, threat reduction, and to a certain extent, shadow card management. All those shadow effects that said attacking enemy makes an additional attack, Sterner Than Steel can help us take care of that. So, let's hop right into it. Looks like Dragon cards automatically reduced our threat from Eowyn setup effect. That correctly puts us at 25. Our starting hand looks great. We have a sneak attack plus Gandalf combo. We have a Favor of the Valar, and we have a Dunedain Warning to help us with our early game defense. We're going to load right into Nibin-Dûm again. Notice that the changes I made aren't specific to Nibin-Dûm. I don't like to really play quest tech. It seems like it often trivializes the game. I tried to make changes that would be generally good for the deck against a wide variety of quests. It was pretty obvious what kind of changes we needed to make because this deck has some pretty glaring weaknesses. We'll see if we shored them up. Oh, we're going through setup again. We get to choose which of these locations we start with. I believe I'm just going to choose Goblin Tunnels again. We're going to head to round 1. Bowhammer. Good. Especially since we already have a weapon in hand. Favor of the Valar, not at all urgent. It'll trigger once we reach 50, so we get out Dunedain Warning, and Blade of Gondolin onto Boromir, start building him up. Quest our questers, and look at that, 7 willpower. Much better than the 4 we had before. Reveal Cavan Warg. Not going to be a problem. We're making 3 progress currently. Travel to Goblin Tunnels. He unfortunately won't be able to kill Cavern Warg unless we use Eowyn's readying ability. That thing's once per game. We do, however, ready Sam and give him a stat boost. That actually is enough. Sam will have 2 attack. Boromir has 3 currently. So if we defend with Boromir, who has 3 defense because of his Dunedain Warning, this attack is undefended, blah blah blah, it's not. We're going to raise our threat, raise it. Ready Boromir, declare him and Sam as attackers. That's 5 attack, exactly enough to take out Cavern Warg. I remember to get rid of the stat bumps, and we're going to move on to the next round. We get the Prepare for Battle side quest. I decide, let's side quest for a bit. We can stall a little bit on stage 1 and set up. We can get our Favor of the Valar set. It's attached to your threat dial, so I'm just going to put it over there. When we reach our threat elimination level, which is 50, we, instead of being eliminated, discard this and reduce our threat by 5. Their hearts were lifted up in such a hope as they had not known since the darkness came out of the east, from The Return of the King. Let's get questing. 7 again? Probably not point in questing Boromir. I am actually considering it, just because we have so much progress to get through into goblin tunnels. I decide not to. Doomed 1. When revealed, either raise your threat by 1 for each questing character you control, or discard a questing character we control. The only questing characters we have are 2 heroes, so we're just going to raise our threat by 2 instead of discarding a hero, obviously. We make 7 progress. That gets rid of goblin tunnels. On to the next round. No enemies engaged, no locations in staging. We draw an errand rider. We're going to play errand rider and quest. I'm going to try to clear prepare for battle. I do decide to quest Boromir just to get us to 8 progress rather than 7. When revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a goblin enemy, put it into play, engage with us. It's okay, there's some goblin enemies in here that aren't too scary. Goblin Sniper is a great choice. Scavenger's a good choice, but I think I choose Goblin Runners. That gets that Surge out of the encounter deck. Surge means reveal another encounter card. And it also gets a bad shadow effect. That was really detrimental to us last game. Attacking enemy makes an additional attack. So we clear prepare for battle. While it's in the victory display, we draw an additional card every round. I note that in Dragon Card's automation options. That will really help us get going. Card draw was another thing we lacked last game. Unfortunately, Sam does not ready from engaging Goblin Runners. So I raise our threat by 1 to ready Boromir. We'll declare him as Defender. Cancel all combat damage dealt to attacking enemy. So I was planning to ready him again in the combat phase and get rid of Goblin Runners, but we cannot. I'm contemplating sneak attack Gandalf. We would have to use Errand Rider to move a resource to Sam, then spend a resource from Sam to get Gandalf into play. Sneak attack. I decide not to. We're doing pretty well. So good draws, good draws. Build the pony, lower the cost to play him by 2 if you control Sam Gamgee. So he is free. Each Hobbit gets +1 hit point. Honestly, more importantly, build the pony can quest for 1. What a champ. Questing for 8. Real Goblin Sniper. That's only 2 threat in staging. We're going to make 6 progress into the main quest. Surprise attack. As you search about the Caves of Nibin-Dûm, you're ambushed by goblins. Oh, we add Goblin Chieftain and another enemy. Goblin Chieftain is going to have his stats at 2 again. We're at quest stage 2. So we're getting 3 enemies flooded into us this round, but I think we can probably do it. We still have that sneak attack Gandalf in our pocket. We decide to take another Goblin Runner, again, to get that surge and bad shadow effect out of the encounter deck. Everything has an engagement cost of 0. It's all going to engage us. Sam is not ready, but we will sneak Gandalf into play. Because I'm deciding what to do with Gandalf. They're all good effects. I decide to deal 4 damage to an enemy, just because we have so many engaged with us. I decide to jump block with Errand Rider. Deal 1 damage to the defending character. Thankfully, Errand Rider has 2 hit points. If Errand Rider was destroyed by that shadow effect, the attack would then become undefended. I'm going to defend with Boromir. Cancel all combat damage dealt to attacking enemy. Again, he's already immune to damage. We'll defend the sniper with Gandalf. No effect. Now we get to ready Boromir, and this is why I decided to lose Aaron Rider. Now we can declare Boromir as an attacker and to get rid of Goblin Runners. That will leave us in better shape for next round. Blade of Gondolin, places of progress. Oh, forgot to return Goblin Chieftain to staging. On to the next round. Gandalf will have returned to our hand at the end of the combat phase. Sneak attack only lasts for one phase. Draw Feint and a Dagger of Westernesse. Get that dagger on Boromir, keep pumping his attack. Feint is really nice to have. Gonna quest our usual crew for 8 now. Cavern Warg, another enemy. So we're only making 4 progress. Currently, surprise attack, since there's 3 enemies in play, has 12 progress points required. We have 5. I play Feint. I choose Cavern Warg. Will not attack us this phase. He has the highest attack. Actually, I decide to exhaust Cave Torch to return Cavern Warg to staging. We're questing hard enough. And then I play Feint on the Goblin Chieftain. Then I only have to defend Goblin Sniper. Defend with Boromir, raise our threat by 1 to ready him, and then attack Goblin Sniper and destroy him. Blade of Gondolin places a progress on the main quest. Goblin Chieftain will either remove 2 progress, or he will be sent back to the staging area. I think I forget to do that for now, but I remember later. Slap a 0-cost Gondorian Fire onto Boromir. Our shadow cards are actually discarded. And I realize I could have used Foe Hammer last round. After we attack and destroy an enemy, exhaust a weapon card to draw 3 cards. I decide not to retcon it and just try to remember to do it when we kill the Cavern Warg. We quest for 8. Heal a Goblin Dungeon. Make 3 progress on the main quest. That is enough to advance us. The goblins retreat down a large tunnel, and you chase them into a large hall of many pillars. A wide chasm runs the width of the hall, and the goblins race across on a large plank. Their chieftain casts the plank into the depths of the chasm and disappears, leaving you stranded on the other side. When revealed, set Goblin Chieftain aside, out of play. Add Cracked Pillar to the staging area. Done and done. While Cracked Pillar is in the staging area, it gains. The first player may declare an attack against Cracked Pillar during the combat phase as if it was an enemy engaged with him. Use Cracked Pillar's threat as its defense during this attack. Quest card. As you search for a way across, you see that one tall pillar near the edge of the chasm has cracked where it meets the ceiling. If you topple the pillar, it could serve to bridge the gap. Reveal an additional encounter card during the quest phase. I think I forget to do that. There's another asterisk. Progress cannot be placed on Cracked Pillar while it's in the staging area, so we have to travel. It has a travel cost. Remove 4 damage to travel there. So we use its effect to get damage onto it, and then remove damage to travel. And then that allows us to advance the main quest when we explore it. For now, we travel to a Goblin Dungeon, reveal top card in the encounter deck, Watchful Eyes. When revealed, the first player attaches Watchful Eyes to one of his heroes. Counts as a condition attachment. Limit 1 per hero. Forced, if attached hero is exhausted at the end of the combat phase, reveal 1 card from the encounter deck and add it to the staging area. That's a pretty nasty one. I decide to put on Boromir because at least we do have some means of readying him during the combat phase. Really sucks though. We engage Cavern Warg. Could ready Eowyn. Boromir defends, Eowyn attacks. We could use Cave Torch to return it to staging. What I decide to do is take the attack undefended. That's 3 attack, but we use Gondorian Discipline to cancel 2 of that, as long as that damage is being dealt to a Gondorian character. Then we declare Boromir as attacker, destroy Cavern Warg. Blade of Gondolin places a progress. I realize we would have had to spend one resource with Gondorian Fire. I do at least remember to use Foe Hammer to draw 3 cards after destroying an enemy. We get another Gondorian Discipline, Quick Strike, and another Build a Pony. Mostly good cards. Can't have another Build a Pony, he's unique. So of course we draw a 3rd. We immediately pay for Dinner 9 Mark. We decide to play Gandalf and use Gandalf's effect to draw cards. Draw Gondorian Shield. This would be Boromir's 3rd restricted attachment, and you can only normally have 2. So I decide to discard Dagger of Westerness. You are allowed to do that. You are allowed to attach a restricted attachment to heroes that already have their slots filled, but then you just have to immediately discard one. I decide Blade of Gondolin. Even though the attack boost is less, the effect is worth it. Finally, I play a Pippin. I'm requesting for 9, 10 with Build a Pony. Crumbling Ruin. Each player must exhaust a character, discard the top card of our deck if able. And compare the cost of that card to the hit points of the exhausted character. I exhaust Gandalf, discard Gondorian Shield. Gandalf has more than 1 hit point, he's not discarded. He will leave play at the end of the round, however. So we had more progress than we needed. We only needed 4 and we made 8. We do get to trigger its response. After it leaves play of an explored location, look at the top 5 cards of your deck for an ally, put it into play. We did not find an ally. I also realize here that we forgot to attack Cracked Pillar last round. Thankfully, we are able to do it this round. Boromir has 4 attack. Cracked Pillar uses its threat as its defense. I'm lamenting that I had to exhaust Gandalf. Maybe I should have exhausted Boromir instead. Then I would have had enough attack to place progress on Cracked Pillar, but I just decided to move on to the next round. So I don't have to exhaust Boromir, raise my threat, ready him again. So we got another Foe Hammer and a Feint. We just go right ahead and quest. Counter card, Goblin Town Scavengers. When revealed, discard the top card of each player's deck. Increase the Scavenger's threat by the total cost of all cards discarded in this way. Oh no, we discard our Gandalf. Gandalf is 5 cost, so Goblin Town Scavengers now have +5 threat. It doesn't actually matter. The main quest doesn't need progress. We just need to explore Cracked Pillar. So as long as we're not taking threat, it's actually fine. Looks like our willpower problem is solved with our tweaks. And again, lamenting that if we try to take out the Scavengers, it means we can't take out the pillar. Contemplating using Quick Strike or Feint. I decide to use Quick Strike in the encounter phase. Blade of Gondolin would place a progress if it did any good to us. We raise our threat to ready Boromir in the encounter phase. Remember that I should have used Foe Hammer. That exhausts a weapon attached to the hero to draw 3 cards after we destroy an enemy. Dagger of Westerness, Gondorian Shield. We move on to the next round. I decide not to declare an attack with Boromir again. That seems like a bad decision. I decide to attach Dunedain Warning to Sam. That also seems like a bad decision. I guess I figure 5 defense on Boromir is enough. But really, should have wanted to get to 6. When revealed, again we have the exhausting a character effect. We can only exhaust Boromir. We discard a 0-cost card. Boromir has more than 0 hit points, so he's not discarded. We raise our threat by 3 to ready him again, making 8 progress that we don't need. I have handled our action economy unwisely up to this point. I do declare in the combat phase an attack with Boromir. He's at 4 attack. I spend a resource with Gondorian Fire. 6 attack. 6 attack deals 4 damage, which is exactly what we need. We draw a Dunedain Warning, Dunedain Mark. I put another Dunedain Warning on Sam. I just contemplate saving a resource for Sneak Attack Gandalf, as opposed to buying Dunedain Mark. That's what I decide to do. Rest the usual crew for 10. Either exhaust Cave Torch or progress cannot be placed on the quest until the end of the phase. We take the second effect. We can't. There's no use in placing progress on the main quest anyway. We have to explore Cracked Pillar. So we get to finally use its travel effect, remove 4 damage to travel there. Suppose that represents us knocking down the pillar over the chasm. Now all we have to do is run across. Draw an Air Rider and a Sneak Attack. Sneak Attack is great to see. Move a resource from Eowyn to Sam. Buy Dunedain Mark, and then we still have 1 left over for Sneak Attack if we want it. Quest the crew. Okay, decide not to quest Build a Pony. Branching paths. Each dark location in the staging area gets +1 threat. We still have enough progress to get through Cracked Pillar. It only requires 2 progress. That advances us to the next stage. After it leaves play as an explored location, advance. Oathkeepers. You've made it across the chasm and resumed the chase. The goblins rally around their chieftain outside the dungeons where the woodman villagers are being held. You must defeat the big goblin if you're to fulfill your oath and rescue the captives. The big goblin. Add goblin chieftain to staging area. Currently we're trying to rescue some woodmen. His stats are X. X is the stage number of the quest. That is now 4. We're on stage 4. So he is indeed big goblin. While there are at least 8 progress tokens on the stage, Goblin Chieftain loses the text, cannot take damage. The stage cannot be defeated while he's in play. When it is defeated, we rescue the captives, fulfilling our oaths, and we win the game. We need the 8 progress to damage Goblin Chieftain, and we need to be able to damage Goblin Chieftain to advance the main quest. So we have to both quest hard and kill him. Branching paths. I am contemplating traveling to it or using Cave Torch on it. It is a dark location. Exhaust Cave Torch to place 3 progress on a dark location. I decide just to travel. If we exhaust Cave Torch, we have to discard the top card in the counter deck and add it to staging area if it's an enemy. Goblin Chieftain is engaging us. His engagement cost is 40. We're at 46 threat. But don't worry, we have Favor of the Valar, so when we get to 50, it reduces our threat by 5. Boromir's Defender, attacking enemy gets +3 attack because he's a goblin. Here I am wishing I did put those Dunedain warnings on Boromir. The Goblin Chieftain has 7 attack. Boromir has 5 defense. I use Gondorian Discipline to cover the remaining damage. Use a threat mark 1 to ready Boromir so that Watchful Eyes doesn't trigger. Draw another Blade of Gondolin. A Quick Strike. I decide to stack up Sam, because why not? Even though there's like no chance of him readying. Our threat is so high. I'm going to stack resources on Boromir to get ready with Gondorian Fire. Now we're questing for 14, because we need to make that 8 progress on the main quest. Reveal Goblin Dungeon, which is worth 3 threat. Nasty location. But that places 3 progress on Branching Paths and 8 progress on the main quest. So we have the requisite progress. Goblin Chieftain loses the text, cannot take damage. Oh bother. This is me remembering that Goblin Chieftain requires you to either remove X progress from the main quest or return him to the staging area. We had no progress on the main quest at the end of the last round, so we would have had to return him to the staging area after he attacked. Since he would be 4 extra threat in the staging area, that means we would not make enough progress we would not make 8 progress. We would only be making 4 on the main quest, 3 on the active location. Okay, so caught that, cleared that up. At least that's not an asterisk on this quest. We do engage Goblin Chieftain again. I decide not to travel, apparently. I play Feint. Gandalf will return to our hand at the end of the quest phase. I just move to the next round. I think this round is the round we're going to try to quest hard, kill the goblin, and be done with it. I'm going to keep stacking resources on Boromir for the use of Gondorian Fire. The threat's getting high, but we have Favor of the Valar. We just need 4 progress on the main quest. Off we go, questing for 10. They have a cave troll. It wouldn't be a complete episode without our friend showing up. So he is a 3 threat, 6 attack, 4 defense, 6 hit point beast. That 3 threat is just short of making us miss our progress goal, but we do make 4 progress. We have the 8 progress on the main quest. That is enough to win, and that is enough to remove cannot take damage from Goblin Chieftain. So all we have to do is destroy Goblin Chieftain, and then the progress is already on the quest and we will have won. I'm realizing we have our attacks stacked up really high. We have plenty to kill Goblin Chieftain with Blade of Gondolin, and Dunine Marks, and Gondorian Fire. As much as I would like to engage the cave troll and have to fight it off as a sort of proving that this deck works, I decide that this has gone on long enough. I'm going to spend that resource. Play Quick Strike. Declare Boromir as attacker. Use Gondorian Fire, so he has +5 attack. He has 3 attack from himself. He has 3 more attack from Dunine Marks. And we have rescued the captives, fulfilled our oaths, and won the game. GG. So I think it was worth it to tweak our deck within some constraints and go at it again. That just illustrates the process of taking a deck that isn't winning and turning it into one that can. So episode 2 of the Rando Deck Series is a loss, a quick deck rework, not a tweak I guess. Rework is a little strong for just adding 1 of each card type. Deck tweaking and a victory. So, thank you all for watching. It's great to have you here. Tune in next time for episode 3 of the Rando Deck Series. And we'll see if we get a power deck or a poopy deck next time too. If you subscribe and hit the notification bell, hopefully you will be notified when that episode comes out. I hope you'll join me next episode. Goodbye until then.